Hello viewers, welcome back, and this is MIJ TECH HACKS and I welcome you back. Today we are going to go to our part, and that is part 5. So we are going to cover more about for loops, as we are still covering and we are still demystifying module 3, which is control flow. So today we are going to go through part 6. And today we are going to cover for loops, and we are going to iterate over strings, then for loop, iterating over dictionaries, and then later bringing back the in operator. So welcome back. Last time in part 4, we got our for loop working with the range and with a real list. Then today in part 5, we are taking the exact same for loop and pointing it at 2 more types of data. Those are the strings and dictionaries. And here is something genuinely satisfying about today's session. Remember that the in operator I taught you back in part 3, before we had even covered or touched loops. Today it comes back and it will click into place in a real natural way. So let's get into it and let's turn to our VS Code. Remember guys, I told you that for those who don't know where these notes that we are using to follow along you go to our YouTube channel, then you put or type in the search engine MIJ TECH HACKS. When you type MIJ TECH HACKS, they will bring for you all of what is MIJ TECH HACKS is about. Then you click to go to our home page, which is MIJ TECH HACKS. Then once there, you go to where there are more links. Then when you reach where there is more links, you'll find the link for my GitHub portfolio, the link for my LinkedIn account, then the link which has Google Drive, or which has document files for the courses. Then when you click there, it will take you directly to where these Python notes and tutorials, or the notes that we use to record the tutorials, are found. So we shall have Python complete course. Then you double click and enter. When you double click the Python complete notes, it will take you directly to Python complete course outline, which is from beginner to professional Pythonista. Then module 2 that we already covered, and then currently module 3 that we are still covering. So when you open module 3, it will take you to its contents. Here you can download these notes and then follow along. I will not be opening these notes throughout the lesson, because I have them on my other screen, and that's what I use to follow along while elucidating and explaining. So these are the module 3 notes. You follow along. The exact examples are the ones that I'm using. That's where our notes are located. With that brief preamble, I want us to open our VS Code and then start over to follow up where we stopped, so that we can kick in. So that is it, and we appreciated that. Please subscribe to this channel so that we push this, so that you comment, and then we make this channel more interactive. Remember that our study strategies is we first of all tackle a topic, we first of all teach a topic, and then get well conversant with it, do some exercises in it, and then later wrap up that topic with a working project. So that's how we are going to traverse through this entire course of Python. I hope someone follows with me. I hope someone comments in the comment section, and then they subscribe to this channel, so that we improve the course, and then it gives us effort to push more. So I again welcome you back, and today I told you that we are going to cover looping over scripts and then looping over dictionaries, and then summarize it with bringing back the in operator. I hope someone opens their VS Code so that we kick off. So shall get rid of this. In our notes, those who have our notes, please follow along as we are going. So a string is secretly a sequence too. Some of you know a string like something that is as a whole, but a string is secretly a sequence too, a sequence of characters. Here is something that might surprise you a little. A string in Python isn't just text under the hood. It is a sequence of individual characters sitting one after the other. So each character, like the word sitting, the word sitting consists of the first character as S, then the second character as I, then the third like that. So it is a sequence of individual characters, meaning that if it is a sequence, then we are able to loop over a string. It is not just as a whole as you see the word sitting. No, it is a sequence of individual characters sitting one after the other, exactly like a list is a sequence of items, like the other list of fruits that we created in the in module 4. It was a list, but because it is a list and it was a sequence of items, we could loop over it. And this string, we are able to loop over it because it is a sequence of individual characters. And because a for loop works on any sequence, we can loop through a string letter by letter completely and naturally. For example, if we have our name, this first of all increase. For example, if we have our name, let's increase here. If you have our name variable equaling to, it is a string, and strings are put in quotations or double quotations. If you have our name variable equaling to Python, then they tell us that we want to print each letter that is in Python. So we shall have our for loop for letter, because we know the number, we know what it consists of, so shall use the for loop. So for letter in name, for each letter in that name Python, then we are going to say print letter. For each letter in that name that is Python, for each letter, for each character, you can say for character in name, for each character in name Python, we are going to print that character. So we shall have it as print letter. When we run our VS Code, it will print Python, and hence it has printed everything in the word, every character in the word Python. And that's what we mean by iterating over a string. So when you run this, you get, you get Python, each on its own line. So Python is working through that string one character at a time, the exact same way it worked through our fruits in part 4, just handling as a single character instead of a whole list item on each pass. Now let's actually do something useful with this, not just print letters for the sake of it. Let's count the vowels in a word. Let's count in this Python. We are going to count the vowels in a word. For example, if we have our word as Kampala, let's try to get rid of this. For example, if we have our word, our variable, which is a word, and it is named as Kampala, we want to know how many vowel letters. Remember, vowel letters it is A, E, I, O, U. It is A, E, I, O, U. So those are the vowel letters. So we want to know this word Kampala, how many vowel letters are there. So so we want to count them. So we shall have it as, we shall first of all initialize, because we don't know the values that are there. We shall first of all initialize by declaring or by defining the variable, by defining the variable called values. So values will be equal to 0, because now at the initial we don't know anything that whether there are some values inside. So we shall say that for character or for letter in the word Kampala. So today we'll use chal to represent character. For chal in word, which is our word, which is Kampala. I'm using these things because I'm in Kampala and I'm in Kampala, Uganda. That's why these things are really good, nice examples for us to use. But anyone could use any other word at any time T. So if the chal, dot lower, chal would lower in A, E, O, U. We shall have it as vowels plus equal to 1. Then we shall print at the end of the loop. We shall print vowels. We shall use our F strings vowels in the word, which is now this time the word is Kampala. The word shall print the vowels. We shall print the vowels, and when we want to know the lane, we shall know when to know how many vowels are there. So shall print the vowels. So that is it. We shall print the vowels. Okay, this is exactly the moment where our in operator in part 4 pays, in part 3 pays off. Look at this condition. Look at this condition here. Chal dot lower in A, E, I, O, U. Read it exactly the way we practiced. Is this character in the lowercase? Is this character lowercase one of the letters in this string? So this dot lower here that we use, this one is a string method that converts all characters in lowercase letters. These string methods, you don't need to go and then read them and cram them. They are going to be part of us. We are going to be working up on them. So I request you guys to go and research about the various string methods. We have dot upper, we have the upper string method, we have the lower string method, we have title, we have capitalize. But you are not going to practice them like as we do here in practicing of coding. You are going to get used to them as we are dealing with string manipulation. So this lower is just a string method that allows us to convert all characters in a given string to lowercase letters. Why have we decided to first of all convert this in lowercase? Because capital A or capital A or uppercase A is different from small a or lowercase a. Remember guys that Python is case sensitive. So for us to remove ambiguities, for us to be uniform, and for us to be consistent and our code to be scalable, we need to always convert and then to be uniform and consistent in our code. So if we are comparing against the lowercase letters, we should always turn this character that is entered. For example, Kampala. For example, Kampala starts with the capital A, capital K. If we had small k here and this was capital K, and we just checked with, let me first of all show you this, what I'm explaining. For example, let me put this A as capital A, and I remove this lower method. For cal in AAU, that vowels print vowels. We expect two A's. We expect an A. We expect A. We expect A. If these were capital A's, we are not going to get any vowel because vowels are A, E, I, O, U. Let's try to see which vowels were printed. Kampala, 0. Vowels are 0 because what we used is we used Kampala with capital A's. The reason as to why this is inconsistent, because Kampala starts with the capital letter, and what we are comparing on, they are the vowels, and they are in small letters. So we have to convert the whole of these characters into lowercase. Now here, if we convert into lowercase, even if something is inconsistent up there, it will give us 3 A's, and that's what we shall have. So the vowels here, we shall have it as A. Let's try to print and send. So we shall have 3 vowels, and that is because Kampala consists of A, and there are 3 vowels inside this word Kampala. I hope someone appreciates, and then we move on. So that is it. So irrespective of which types of letters, whether uppercase or lowercase, so long as I convert them to match what I'm comparing them against, we shall always get a consistent value. And that's why we introduced that string method called lower, for us to convert everything in this character or in this word Kampala as lower case. So that is it here. So the lower method is doing its job here too, same as it did back in our discount exercises in part 2. It protects us against capitalization. Without it, a capital A in Kampala wouldn't match against the lower case in our comparison, which is A, E, I, O, U. We are checking against, because Python treats capital A and small a as genuinely different characters. So lower method makes sure every character gets compared fairly, regardless of how it was originally typed. So this is just a string method, and there are very many other string methods that you need to go and research about. So that is it, and we have known that the vowels in this word are 3. So let's go further to looping over a dictionary. I hope someone has appreciated this. Let's go further to looping over a dictionary. We are seeing things like dictionary, we are seeing things like lists, but we shall tackle these, or we shall go into full depth of these data structures. These are called data structures or data storage structures. They store data, but we have very many ways in which these store data. So when I say the word dictionary, don't get overwhelmed, we shall cover it. What you just need to know is dictionaries are key value data structures. They store keys and value. Like as you see a dictionary, you search a certain word. For example, if I want to know the meaning of the word Python, then I go in the dictionary, and then Python will have its key as the word Python, then the value or the meaning of that word Python, which will be its value. So the key is Python, and then its value is that meaning of the word Python. So dictionaries are key value elements. That's what you must know at this given hour. So when we talk about dictionaries, which are slightly different shape of data, instead of just a list of single items, a dictionary stores pairs, a key and a value that belong to that key. Think of it like a real dictionary book. You look up a word, that's your key, and it gives you back a definition, and that's your value. At this opportune moment, that's what you must know. Till we cover in full depth the data structures, and we shall tackle dictionaries in full context. For example, if we have a student, if we have a dictionary called student, which is equal to our dictionaries are we use curly brackets to indicate dictionaries. Even we use curly brackets to indicate sets. Also, sets are data structures, but the contents in these curly brackets distinguish between helps us to distinguish between a dictionary and a set, because a set does not have key value pairs, but the dictionary makes it a dictionary because of the presence of key value elements. And keys are always put in quotation. Keys are always put in quotation, either double quotation or single quotations, and then we use a semicolon to assign a value, and values in strings are also put in quotation. For example, we have a value here, the name is Alice. So now when we go in the dictionary of students, when you look for name as the key, it will give you Alice. So this is good at looking up things. If I wanted the age, I just type age and then they give me 20, like as we see here. So it has a dictionary, a lookup of age, which is equaling to 20, and then grade. It has the student's grade, and the grade is equivalent to a string, which is a string a. So that is our dictionary. It has contents like the name, the age, and then the grade of the student. So that is it. Let me try to make this a bit smaller so that you can easily see. So that is it, and that's our dictionary. Please don't cram this, don't try to be overwhelmed with what this dictionary is. All you must need to do at this moment is know that dictionaries must have a key and its value. For example, this name and then its value, which is Alice. This age and then its value, which is 20. This grade that is corresponding to its value, which is A. When we cover dictionaries in full depth, you will understand and know why it exists. So here, the name, age, and grade are our keys. The name, the age, and then the grade are our keys. And then Alice, 20, and A are their Alice, 20, and A are their values. Now Python actually gives us 3 different ways to look through this, depending on what you actually need. Just the keys. This is what happens by default if you don't specify anything. For key in student, let's try to check here. For key in student, this is what happens by default if you don't specify anything. For key in student, we shall have it as print key. Let's try to see if you don't specify anything. For example, like last time we were like for item in this list, print item. So now let's try to see if we don't specify that I want the keys or I want the values, because you can loop and get only the keys. You can loop and only get the values. But what if I don't specify that I want keys or I want values? What happens? What gets printed? Let's try to check on the terminal and see. So we shall have, by default, if you don't specify, only keys, name, age, grade get printed. So if we don't specify, we appreciate that only keys get printed. So this prints name, age, grade, just the labels, not what they are pointing to, just the values. When you genuinely want to print the values, when you genuinely don't care about each thing, what each thing is called, only what it actually contains, then we shall have it as for key or for value. Now this time we want to get only value, so we shall have it as for value. Or you can even say this value is a variable. It is, you mustn't be like, you must not name it like value every time value. No, it is a variable. You can name it anything for so long as you give Python the right instructions. And we shall use a method, a dictionary method called values to get only values. And methods are always used by putting a dot and then that method, so that we use it. So for value in student, because student is a dictionary, it has a dictionary method called value. It has a dictionary method called values, and that is how we write it. So this dictionary method called value enables us to only loop over values as it is Alice, 20 and A. So we shall print value, value for each value in student.values. We shall print value. So when we print value, we shall appreciate that it will print Alice, then 20 and then A, because we have used that dictionary method which is called values. I hope someone appreciates, and then we move on. MIJ Tech Hacks, MIJ Technologies, and we are still pushing with this. So we have appreciated that if we use student.values, it will always give us the values. If we don't specify, someone would also use student.items, okay, let me not go for that. We shall cover it later. I don't want to rush you. So if you want to get keys only, we don't specify the method. But if you want to specifically get what those keys are holding, we shall use this method which is called values method. So this is a method, and you see when you go to it, it shows you that this is a Python method and it is a function of dict values. It returns an object providing a view on the dict CZ values. So that's how it is. I hope someone appreciates, and then we move on. So that will print Alice, 20 and then A, both together, which honestly is the version you will use the most in the real code, because most of the time you actually want to know both what something is called and what it contains. So when we want to print both together, we shall use something like this. We shall use a for loop containing this method. So if you want to know what something is containing, because honestly this is what you will be using in real code, because most of the time you actually want to know both what something is called and then what it contains. So if you want to know the dictionary key and its value, like to be able to print the dictionary key and then its value, then you will just say, because today you want the key and value, we shall say for key then and value, because this time I'm interested in both, in student.items. Now this items method tells us to get or to pick to pick the key and value pairs, and then to loop over the key and value pairs. So we shall have it, we shall print, we shall use our f strings to format very well how it will look. We shall print the key and then use a full colon to separate the key and value. Then later we shall print our value. These f strings, they help us to format neatly on how we want to present, because if we didn't use these f strings, for example, if we said print key comma value, let's just say if we didn't use this f string, what would happen? We shall say print key then value. Let's try to see. We said that this is a method, items is a method, and it returns a set-like object providing a view on the Dictionaries items. So let's try to see. It will print a set-like. So it will print name Alice, age 20, grade A. But if we use f strings, we are able to format these things into something that is presentable. Let's try to see if we use f strings. We shall put that semicolon, and that semicolon is put using strings. So we shall put f strings and then print the key, and then use the semicolon as a separator between the values and the keys. Then we shall have the value. So you see, now this one is going to look a little bit precisely and professionally formatted. So it will print the name, which is Alice, then the age, which is 20, and then the grade, that is E. So the f strings are for clear formatting. Please don't cram anything as far as Python is concerned. Let everything exist for a reason. You ask the why questions, because that's what programmers do. If you ask the why don't we just print key and value? We've shown you why it looks a little bit disorganized. But for better formatting, we use the f strings, and this is the best way to use it. So that is it, and we shall appreciate that it will print Alice, then age 20, and then grade A. Notice that the .items method is the same idea as enumerate from part 5. It hands us back a pair each time through the loop, and we cut that pair with the two variable names, that is the key and value, in one motion. So if you ever find yourself writing student into key inside a loop that just to get the value that matches the key you already have, stop. That is a sign you actually wanted items from the start. It does that job for you automatically and more cleanly, like as we shall see when we are accessing dictionaries, when we are accessing lists, when we read that part. So I don't want to confuse you a lot, but if you want items, we use that. If you want the keys and then values, we shall use the items method. And if we want only keys, we shall not specify any method of the dictionary. And if you want values, we shall always use the values method to undergo this. So this brings us back to our in that we covered in the previous. So bringing in back, checking the dictionary membership too. Since we are talking about dictionaries, here is genuinely useful. Here is a genuinely useful extra, the same in operator we've seen using the strings and lists works on dictionaries too. And by default, it checks against the keys. So for example, if we have our student dictionary, we want to check is age in the student dictionary, is Alice is Alice as a key in the dictionary. So we want to use the in operator to check, and when we use in, it will always return a boolean, which is either false or true. So we shall have it as print. We are checking print print age in student. Age in student. Let's try to see, is age in student? True, it is true. So it will always, the in will always, if you are checking using the in, it will always return a silent boolean whether it is true or false. So true age is in is one of the keys. So let's try to check, is Alice in student? Print, is Alice in student? Print, is Alice in student? Alice. Let's try to use a small a. Let's try to use a small a without using anything like dot capitalize or dot title. In student. Is Alice in student? It will return false. Why has it returned false? We have two reasons as to why it has returned false. First of all, Alice is a value and not a key. This in operator will always check for keys. It will always check for keys. And secondly, if Alice was a key, the casing does not match. So it will always return a false. I hope someone understands why it has returned false, so that we move on. So even if we use capital A here, even if we use uppercase A, it will still return false, because in operator only checks for presence of keys but not presence of values unless specified. So we already said that it checks against the keys but not the values. I hope someone appreciates that. So the second line trips people up the first time they see it. Alice is definitely in this dictionary somewhere, but the in on a dictionary by default only looks at the key labels. Please note that, not the values. If you genuinely wanted to check whether Alice exists as a value, you need to check student.values specifically. For example, if we wanted to check Alice in student using the method then values, we shall have it as being a true, because if we don't specify anything, it will always check for the keys. So here it will give us a true because Alice really exists. But what if we use a small letter A? Would that Alice really exist? Let's try to see whether Python is case sensitive. So it is false, because Python is case sensitive unless you always change this as uppercase. Then you could use print Alice is Alice in student. There you are checking. This is a check, so there is no need of you converting, because you cannot convert from here because student is the dictionary and strings only have. Let's try to see. Title. Let's try to check this. Remember, we are coding together. I expect it to print true. So here that is So here here we have converted this Alice. When we use this title, it will return the first letter as uppercase. Returns a version of a string where each word is title case. More specifically, words start with uppercase characters and all remaining. So with this we shall have, even someone could use capitalize, because capitalize, it will always capitalize that single word. Capitalize, it will also return true, because we will change that first letter A to upper case. So these string methods, I'm not going to have a lesson that we are talking about Python strings, because we already covered that in the previous tutorials. Please visit them and make more research. With engineering or with software engineering, guys, we must make research on our own. We must find out more of the things by our own. You just need the basics and then do the part that makes you distinct engineer. So that is it, and that's how we convert, so that things can match. If you decide to use a small upper letter, a small letter here, or a lowercase letter, then you need to first of all either title or capitalize, so that you can check against very well. So that is it, and that's how those string and dictionary methods work. So that is it. Next, we are going to build some exercises here. There is a separate numbered guided exercise for this particular section in our course notes. So let's genuinely practice by doing both examples, our source live from a blank file. So let's try to see that exercise. If you try to open, let's try to see that exercise. Let's try to see that exercise about logical operators, while loop, those ones we are done. Then finding the maximum, filtering, full meaning, project number analysis. Exercise 12. So this exercise is about the vowel counts typed from scratch. It is about number, loop finding, minimum. Let's try to see which exercise is that. Number pattern generator, mini prime number checker. So you try to search about it. It is about the vowel counter typed from scratch. The vowel counter. Let me try to search this document and then look for vowel. Iterating over a string. So that is it. So let's just build it. I think it is in the other series that I have, but I want you to go through it. So if we are going to first of all build the vowel counter typed from scratch. So if we have our word, our variable word is equal to, we want to put any word so that we count the vowels that I need. So we shall have the input function that prompts a user to enter any word, which is enter a word. Enter a word. So the user will enter any word of their choice, and then we check against it, and then we count the number of vowels that are inside that word. So as usual, we shall say that vowels, we shall denote them to 0, or we shall initialize them to 0, because we don't know anything about vowels in this word. That so for character, which I use char in word, in the word that they have typed, we are going to say if I think everyone notices why we use the lower method here, because we want to make things consistent in what, in the vowels, which is A, E, I, O, U. Those are the vowels. So this is what we are comparing against, and in small letters. So whenever we come across the vowels, we shall increment them. We shall increment them by 1, and that this is what you could even say equal to vowels plus 1. That is the same thing like as I had written up there. So that's the way we increment. We increment. Whenever we find any of these, we shall increment it by 1, and then later after the loop we shall print all the occurrences in total. So shall we use our F strings to format things in the right way. We shall use vowels in that word which you typed. I don't know the word, so in this case should be there. Any word that you type, we shall be counting and see how many vowels are in that word. You can use quotations to make that word in that word. So we shall have it as the vowels that are already counted. So let's try to see. Let's try to enter a word. For example, I want to enter which word? I want to enter England. Let me enter England. England starts with a capital letter, because England. So there are two, and that is E and A. I hope someone appreciates that those are the number of vowels. For example, let's try to type Canada. Let's try to type Canada. Enter what? Canada. How many are they inside? There are 3, and there are only A's. So our program is working clear. I hope someone appreciates, and then we move on. So that is it. That is how we count the vowels from scratch, typed from scratch. So I've made one small upgrade here from our earlier example. Instead of hard coding the word Kampala, we are now asking the user to type any word they like. Try it live with different words, your name, a random word, and watch the vowel count come out exactly or correctly each time. So second, we shall have a sample, also a sample student profile printer using items. For example, if you have our dictionary, which is this, let me try to get rid of this. If you have our dictionary that consists of a name, then we enter the name, then age, and then we put the age, and then the course, and then we enter the course. We are going to print the student profile accordingly. So we shall have it as print an introductory line that tells us that this is the student profile. This is the student profile. So after that, we shall have we want to print the key and value for each. So for key value in student.items, now we know what items mean. In student, we know what items mean. We shall have to print using our F strings. We know why we always use F strings. We have explained that very many times. So we shall print our key, and then our key, we shall always capitalize the key. Let's try to capitalize the key by using title. by using that. I think you just need to go and research about these methods so that they get you get well conversant with them. Then the value, we shall have our values. Because we are not, because why don't we use methods here, like string methods on the value? Someone would ask, because there is what we call age here. Can you convert age to uppercase? Not really. So we decide to just leave it like that. Let's try to see. Let's try to run our program and then see. So it will tell us for us to get the value of the name, we shall enter the name. So let me put innocent. Then the age, let me put 26, and then the course is Python Basics. Python Basics. So the student profile prints innocent, then the age is that, and then the course is Python Basics. So that is it. So the quick note, the title method there, that's the string method that capitalizes the first letter of each word. So a key becomes a key with the small, starting with the small letters, becomes that key with a capital letter in the printed output, which just looks a bit more polished for something we are actually displaying to a real person. So that is it, and we have appreciated very many things today. So wrapping up today in part 6, because time has already gone. So that is our part 5, and today we have learned that a string is secretly a sequence of characters which let us loop through one and build a genuinely useful value counter. And that's also where our in operator from part 2 finally paid off properly. We also covered the 3 ways to loop through a dictionary, that is keys, values, or both together with items. And we saw that the in operator behaves a little differently on a dictionary, checking keys by default rather than values, and then later checking values if specified with the dictionary method, which is called .values. So in our part 6, we are covering something that trips up almost every beginner at the very first, and that is the break and continue. The 2 statements that let us interrupt a loop's normal behavior from the inside. That one deserves its own and unrushed session too, so we are giving it exactly that. So in the next video, MIJ Tech Hacks, MIJ Technologies, please subscribe to this channel. See you in the next video. See you. Take care, and please make research on these topics that we are handling. MIJ Tech Hacks, MIJ Technologies, Innocent Junior Mukwaya, copyright 2026.